ACLU of Maryland was ahead of most of the other affiliates around the country in that we decided to prioritize racial justice work. It wasn't the only thing that we did, but we knew that in Baltimore and in Maryland, which was a slave state, it was going to take decades to do what we needed to do, but we took on the struggle because it was so very important.
The ACLU is probably the most effective civil rights organization we have here in the state of Maryland. One of the things that Susan did that really had a tremendous impact, she was responsible for helping to shepherd in a landmark legislation that required all private clubs to not discriminate against people based on their race, their gender, their religion, their nationality.
What Susan Goering has instilled at the ACLU of Maryland is sort of a commitment to attacking every issue through the lens of racial justice.
When Susan Goering came here, she came with a vision to address the hyper-segregation that Baltimore was known for.
What was important about the housing case is that for literally a century, Black people had been denied the right to choose where they wanted to live. And that happened because of institutional racism, including the redlining that went on, that forbid them from moving to areas where white people lived.
We've opened up over 4,000 housing opportunities for Baltimore City families, those living in public housing, those living in some of the highest poverty areas of the city and of the country, have been able to access quality housing in safe neighborhoods with strong schools and access to jobs and all of the building blocks for child development, for good health, and for economic mobility.
One of the other challenges is that people tend to blame poor people for being poor. All the research shows that test scores are strongly correlated with family income. There's a tendency to say it's the problem of the schools, it's the problem of the families, the children, rather than saying, what can we do? What kind of resources can we provide so that children have the same opportunities in Baltimore City that they have in other counties?
In Bradford versus Maryland, we sued the state of Maryland based on the state constitution and demanding that the state take on the full cost of educating students here in Baltimore City.
The court rulings in our Bradford education lawsuit led to the establishment of the Thornton Commission. It put in place a new funding formula statewide so that not just Baltimore City children were helped, but children across the state were helped. And that was Susan's hope all along, that children across the state would benefit.
For me, one of the things that makes Susan stand out, and with her skills, she could have went anywhere, but she put justice before judgeship. She made it crystal clear that it was for her more important that people benefited from the work that she did, and people have benefited from the work she's done.
Our police reform work has been about challenging how police discriminate against people of color in their interactions. Over time, that has also evolved into challenging how the broader criminal legal system dehumanizes Black and brown families to the detriment of us all. When I think about where I hope we are sort of a decade from now or 20 years from now, is that we're as committed then, if not more so, as we are now, to dismantling the criminal legal system in the way that it imprisons people.
I have been blessed with the best job in the world. I decided when I was in 6th grade to become a civil rights attorney, and I had no idea it could be this fun and this wonderful to work with all the clients I've worked with and my staff, my remarkable staff. I am so proud of what's been accomplished in the last 30 years, and I am looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next 30.